Hi guys, so we're gonna create a token presale with a whitelisting. Let's start by adding a new token. Let's call it my token, and the symbol might be my token like this. All right. So we select the blockchain and deploy the token. Okay, so the token is deployed, and you can see that the current balances are looking as follows. So the entire supply is owned by me as the deployer, right? Now let's create the smart contract to have a token presale. So what we can do actually is use AI to do it. Right, so let's create a token presale workflow with whitelisting. There should be a soft cap, a hard cap, and a rate between a native currency and the token. Now when the presale admin ends the sale, then he should deposit the amount of tokens and get back the native tokens deposited by the users then. Buyers can cash their tokens after presale has ended. Okay, so this is what we have now. We have a presale where the buyers can buy the token. Then the purchase becomes pending, and then they can cash out, which means that they can actually obtain the token. But this is only possible after the end of the pre-sale, as we can see here. Now let's go to the beginning. Let's see what are the actual variables that will be stored on blockchain and also kind of dictating the flow. So we can see that the object going through these states is the presale. Each presale will have an ID, a status. The price will be now the price in the native token. So in the case of Ethereum, that will be ETH, or in case of Taraxa, it will be Tara. And you can see that it's marked as transient, so this means that it won't actually be stored anywhere. So basically the user can just say the price and get back the corresponding amount of tokens. Now then we have a role here, buyer. Let's close the documentation. So we have a role here, buyer, which is a whitelisted address. So that means that we need to actually configure these addresses beforehand. And AI has decided actually to set it as unique. So that means that each buyer can only have one purchase ongoing, and we can also just get rid of it. This means that buyers can actually kind of file multiple purchase orders. Now here, next we have the token address. So this will be the token that will be actually sold as a global variable. It can be kind of configured as setting. Then we have the amount of tokens. We can see here that this amount actually is a money variable, and the token that the money represents is actually set up in the token address variable. So we'll see it actually in the demo. Next is the soft cap and the hard cap, which are both also global configuration variables, and they represent the they are in the value of the token as well. Now here we have next one is the total amount. So that's the total amount sold from the smart contract in question. And then we have next one is a role as well. So we have a global setting, so it's one variable for the presale admin, which will be used to check that only administrator has the right to end the presale. Now we have also a Boolean value, so yes and no value, a global configuration value as well, called finished. So this will designate the end of the pre-sale basically. And lastly, we have the rate. So that's the rate between the native token and the sold token as a global configuration variable here as well. Now, let's see how does the workflow actually look like. So first off, we have the method buy, takes in a parameter called price, so the user can actually say how much ETH or other native token they want to deposit. Now there's a validation next, which means that that the hard cap needs to be higher than the price given by the user times the rate set by the global variable, and then plus the kind of existing or current up-to-date sales. So the total amount sold up to this date plus the price plus the rate means that if this is true, then the sale can go on. If not, then it will actually say an error over hard cap. Now next, two calculations will take place. First, we calculate the amount. This is the amount that the user will receive. It's determined by the price given by the user times the rate, that is the configuration variable. And then we also update the total amount, which will be the total amount currently plus the amount that we just set here. And then finally, there will be a deposit or let's say sale or of funds or transfer of funds in the amount of the price. Here you can see from the caller of this method to the workflow itself in the amount of the price. So this means at this point, after this purchase, this deposited number will be actually locked in to the workflow. So nobody can actually cash it out here. So because this purchase is in pending status. Now, okay, so you can imagine now these users creating those purchases, and then at some point this can be called. So this is end presale. So let's see what does it do. So end presale will actually, you can see here in the calculations, end presale will set the finished property to true, because you can see that when the person wants to cash out, or the buyer wants to cash out, there's a validation here that will check that the finished property is set actually to true. Otherwise, no one can actually cash out before that. And if it's not set to true, then it will be an error with not finished message. So what else is going on in the presale or end presale method? Well, there's a validation here that checks that the total amount of tokens sold to this point is not exceeding the soft cap. Then the other calculation here is that the workflow, the current balance of the workflow, will be set to the price variable. And then this is needed actually, because at the end of this method call, you can see that the workflow, the same workflow, will actually pay out the balance that it has accrued to the pre-sale admin. And you can see that the other thing going on here is that the caller, which is you can see here that access is restricted to the pre-sale admin, which means that the pre-sale admin will actually deposit or pay the workflow the total amount. So the total amount in tokens, which will then in the end will be actually distributed to the buyers. Right, so that's the ending pre-sale method. After that, the other or third method will be cash out method. which we saw was only possible if the entire sale is finished. And by the way, importantly, it's only accessible to the buyer, so that's the buyer of this specific pre-sale. And importantly, in the end, you can see here that the workflow actually distribute the amount to the buyer. So that's the amount that was calculated first in the buy method here. So that's it. These are the three methods that will actually manage the pre-sale, and only thing left to do right now is to test it out. So let's set the network to Taraxa. So if you wish, you can always also check out the code here. Just click view code, and you should be able to see the generated code. You can see here on the bottom these familiar methods like cash out, end pre-sale, and buy. Well, let's deploy. Beautiful. Well, let's test it out. Okay, so here's the dashboard for my pre-sale smart contract. You can see that what I can do here is create a new pre-sale, and I can browse the existing kind of pre-sales, and I can also configure the global variables here, as you can remember. So first of all, I can set the whitelisting up, and then I can also set all of the global variables up. So what I will do actually is set the buyer to my own test address. Next up is token address. So for this, I will go back to the dashboard, and I will click on my token, and will actually copy this token address here. Okay. Now soft cap I will leave as is, because 0 is a valid soft cap. Hard cap though, I have to add a number here, so probably in configuration you have to actually enter the smallest denominator or pay amount here. So this is actually 1. Now total amount will leave to empty, because that will be actually operated by the workflow. So presale admin will be my own test account. And finally, rate will be set to 1. Now I think we're all set, so let's go to browse and then click new presale. So we're gonna actually say that we're gonna spend 0.01 Tara to buy 0.00 my token, because we set the rate to 1. Okay, Burno, perfect. So here we can see that this is the pre-sale for me. In the amount of 0.001, and what else is here? You can always see the transaction in the Explorer. And if you run into issues, here is also a good place to check what was the error. So the next thing to do is actually end the pre-sale. Now let's imagine the soft cap is now passed. So let's end the pre-sale. You have to enter the total amount. So it's the total amount of tokens sold to the users. So this information will be needed to set up the allowance for the token. Now during this end presale, I will actually pass on the tokens into the contract and get back all of the funds of the native token from the contract. Okay, here you can see that the end presale was called, and that's about it. So all what's left to do is actually to cash out. What will happen now is that the workflow will pay out the 0.001 Tara. Right, so that's it. So now we have successfully created a smart contract to pre-sale a token with a whitelisting, and tested it as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much. Bye bye.